So our course title is Computer Technology. Our course code is CTE 431, week 6. So let's take a look of a high-level language. A high-level language is a programmable language that uses English and mathematical symbols like positive, negative, percentage, and many others in its instructions. When using the term programming languages, most people are actually referring to high-level language because they are designed in a form that individual will be able to follow the due protocols of those systems. So a high-level languages are the language most often used by programmers to write programs. So those programs will definitely bring out a profitable results. So let's take a look of these examples of high-level language. We have C++, Fortran, Java, and Python. So regard to the first one, which is C++, is a programming language used to create software. It is used a high-level language often used for performing critical applications, like applications that are more complex. They are used by C++. So Java, we have Java and Fortran and Python. So let's look at the second one, which is Fortran. Fortran is a programming language used for scientific and numerical computing. It was developed in 1950s by IBM. So we have Java. So the Java is a programming language and computing platform that is used to create applications. So we have the Python. Python is a popular high-level programming language that is used for web development, data analysis, and more. So example of high-level language. So let's take a look of this expression. To get a flavor of what high-level language actually looks, consider an ATM machine where someone wants to make a withdrawal of $100. This amount needs to be compared to the account balance to make sure there are enough funds. The instruction in a high-level computer language will look something like this. Let's look at the expression here. Since we said that we wanted to withdraw $100, so our X should be our ATM account balance. What is there? So since the X is the account balance, then we now say that X is equals to $100. So let's look at the next expression. If balance X is not up to the amount, since we say that the X is the amount of the money we have on the account, so if balance X is not up to the amount, then print insufficient balance. So if the amount is not up to $100, it will now print insufficient balance. So or else, please take your card. So that's the two options. Either it tells you that the amount on X is insufficient, means it's not enough, or else you should take your ATM card. So this is not exactly how real people communicate, but it is much easier to follow than a series of 1 and 0s in binary code. So we can easily follow this process and understand the high-level language, but the machine language only understands binary, which are 1 and 0s. Advantage of high-level language are much closer to the logic of a human language. So human being can easily interact with the high-level language protocols. So a high-level language uses a set of rules that dictate how words and symbols can be put together to perform a program. So with the help of words and symbols, will provide a protocols that individual will be able to follow those steps. Learning a high-level language is not unlike learning another human language. So you need to learn command, syntax, and logic, which correspond closely to the vocabulary and words, before you be able to understand those high-level language. So most high-level language code can run different hardware. With the help of those high-level language, they can run different hardware of the computer system. So high-level language may be necessary because of the operating system. For examples, programs written for Windows typically don't run on Mac. So Mac and Windows differ in many ways, including hardware compatibility, software availability, and user interfaces. They are different, so it is difficult for individuals to access the same application on them. So a high-level language cannot be understood directly by a computer, and it needs to be translated into machine code. There are two ways to do this, and they are related to how the program is executed. A high-level language can be compiled on or interpreted. Compiler. A compiler is a computer program that translates a program written in a high-level language to the machine language of a computer. If we wanted to modify data on a high-level language, what we have to do, we have to implement a compiler to assist us to have access of modifying those informations and data. So the high-level program is referred to as the source code. A typical computer program processes some type of input data to produce output data. So those source code are known as the numbers, which are known as 1 and 0 for machine code, for assembler in form of letters, move, add, and so on. So the compiler is used to translate source code into machine code or compiled code. This does not yet use any of the input data to produce the desired output. So how to use compiler? When using compiler, the entire source code needs to be compiled before the program can be executed. So let's look at this source code. What is a source code? A source code refers to the set of instructions written by a programmer in a specific programming language, essentially the raw human readable text that outlines the logic and functionality of a software program. So the resulting machine code is typically a compiled file, such a file with an extension. So once you have a compiled file, you can run the program over and over again without having to compile it again. So let's take a look of what are compilers, translators, interpreters, and assemblers. So as we said earlier, that translators, compilers, interpreters, and assemblers are all software programming tools. So those tools has their specific function that convert code into another type of code, but each term has specific meaning. All of the above work in some way towards getting a high-level programming language translated into machine code that the central processing unit can understand. So example of CPU include those made by Intel. We have x86 ARMED. It is an Intel so the x86 is a computer architecture for central processing unit. Then we have AMD, which is Advanced Micro Devices. Is a 64-bit processor architecture that allows computer to handle 64 bits. Those bits are referred to memory ability. So we have Atlo, Apple, PowerPC, and many others. It is important to note that all translators, compilers, interpreters, and assemblers are programs themselves, but software programs.